Hello class, and welcome to my presentation on rating scales. This is Lori Kellogg. A rating scale is used to determine the quality or the degree to which a student exhibits knowledge or skill or an attitude. Each trait is rated on a continuum. The observer decides where the child fits on the scale. This is similar to a checklist, but not quite the same. If you recall, on a checklist, the observer simply indicates whether the behavior or skill is present. Either it is or it isn't. On a rating scale, the observer's judgment is called in to determine the quality of the skill or the behavior observed. A rating scale is a selective method of formal observation. The recording instrument dictates what is to be observed and recorded. Observers must be careful in their analysis not to reflect on other behaviors, skills, or attitudes that are not indicated by the tool on that particular day. If you've known and worked with a child for a long time and over time you get to know him, it's easy to let what you know about the child outside of the specific observation leak into your analysis. Many of you did that on your checklist, by the way. For example, on this rating scale, the observer is looking for participation. He's to rate the child's level of participation. If on that particular day you observe Joey and he doesn't do well participating, but you know that on most days he does, you cannot indicate that in your analysis. Really, two or more raters should use the same instrument to rate the same child on the same day. This will control bias. And by the way, if the child you intend to observe is not behaving as his usual self, it might be a good idea to hold off on the formal observation for a few days. It could be he's coming down with an illness, or he didn't sleep well, or maybe there's some unexpected drama at home. You want to try to observe any child in as normal circumstances as possible. There are two main types of rating scales. You've all seen this rating scale at one time or another. A graphic rating scale consists of a set of categories described at certain points along the lines of a continuum. The rater marks her judgment at any location on the line. A numerical rating scale is the sequence of numbers assigned to descriptive categories. The rater marks the number to indicate the degree to which the characteristic is present. You may purchase a commercial rating scale for your center, or you can create your own. The way you create your own is to follow 5 steps. The first is identify the behavior or skill you want to assess. The developmental milestones and the foundation blocks are a great place to start with. Number 2, determine what characteristics of this learning outcome are most significant and directly observable. If you want the child to read more, then you might observe whether he chooses books as a free time activity. But whether he's enjoying books, well, that's very subjective and hard to observe. Number 3, scale clearly defined points on the rating sheet. Number 4, select the scale that is most appropriate for the purpose of the assessment, or make your own, as I said. There are many commercially prepared literacy rating scales, for example, but using the developmental milestones, you can also create your own. Number 5, provide between 3 and 5 ratings or points on the continuum of the scale. And then finally, decide what activity you'll do with the child to make this observation and assessment. It should be a task the child does normally. It shouldn't ever seem to be a test. A common use of rating scales is to observe and document emerging literacy skills. The first point on the rating scale continuum might be awareness and exploration. These include things like giving listening and visual attention to a book, giving attention to the printed words on a page or in the environment. The second point on the continuum might be experimental reading and writing, retelling stories from pictures. The third point on the continuum might be early reading and writing, and the fourth, transitional reading and writing, and the fifth, independent and productive reading and writing. And these are outlined very clearly in the developmental milestones. This diagram shows the development of reading and writing skills. Start at the bottom where the skills are narrow and small and work your way up to a wider range as the child's skills widen. This is a recap of the advantages and disadvantages of a rating scale. A rating scale measures the range of progress of a specific criteria of development. It may result in a numerical value, a graph, or bar chart. Most importantly, assessments should be repeated at frequent intervals. Having several assessments can be used to chart progress, indicate delays, or advance development. This is an invaluable tool for planning instruction and intentional teaching.